We'd like to thank Dawne Williams for being our speaker in this webinar on a very important topic to BPW affiliates around the world, a strong budget, in fact, an ethical budget, and the specific areas of fundraising, grants, and sponsorship. So we know that you'll all enjoy this webinar very much. Dawne is currently serving BPW International as the regional coordinator for North America and the English-speaking Caribbean affiliates. And she also is, until recently, was the CEO of the largest bank in her region. And her background is entirely in finance. She's a financial expert. So we're very eager to hear from her in this webinar because we know that she brings a great deal of expertise to this topic. Thank you so much, Dawne. The floor is yours.
For today, as Anne said, my background is in finance, and I have been a CEO of the largest financial institution in the OECS region. So it's surely a pleasure to be with you today, just sharing this screen with some of the clients I serve. But today we are going to look at a strong budget, fundraising, grants, and sponsors. And the roadmap for today is, we'll start with the BPW vision, then we'll look at the brand importance, the income sources available to us as BPW members, principles for managing your finances, we'll recap and then close. My preference as the facilitator is to go through the presentation, have you make notes, raise questions, and at the end, field them, and hope it works for everyone. Okay, so we start with our vision. What is the vision for BPW? The vision is to develop the professional, business, and leadership potential of all women on all levels through advocacy, mentoring, networking, skill building, and economic empowerment programs and projects around the world. This means if we are going to be successful, we will all need funds. And we are aware that in the business trade and other organizations that are profit organizations, they use their profit to fund their activities. However, for us, in the Business and Professional Women's Club and not-for-profit organization, we depend on income sources outside of profit. And our main sources are, and I list them here and go into detail on the future slides: membership dues, friends and fellows contributions, BPW Foundation funds, professional sponsorship, funding, fundraising activities, voluntary work offered by BPW leaders and members, and I'll speak more about this later, the President's Office, and investments in optimal administration and grants. But in order for us to ensure that we raise the funds we need, it is very important for you to build your brand. So your club must be known as an organization with which people would like to align themselves, because the most important area of any successful organization is its brand. Sometimes when you build your brand to the level of excellence, you don't even have to sell it. People come seeking you because that brand is the foundation, that launch pad from which everything is leveraged. Your brand is your reputation, your character, and it's what determines how much you can entice stakeholders, which is exactly what you want to do as a club, to be able to entice stakeholders to want to work with you, to want to partner with you. So it's therefore top priority to build an excellent affiliate brand, one of good repute with which stakeholders want to align themselves. And I'll say more about this as we continue in this presentation. So let us look at the income sources in more details. There's one definite source that every club has. And that definite source is the income that you get from membership. every member has to pay their annual dues. So that's a definite source of income. And how do you increase that? By increasing membership. So the first drive as a club is to ensure you continuously increase your membership. Ask every member at every meeting to bring another member with them, a potential member. And over time, you will be amazed at how your club just grows. There's another method of income, friends and fellows. Friends and fellows are where you align your club with interested parties who will contribute through an annual donation vehicle. This works at the international level, but it can also work at the club level. And there are guidelines on this which can be shared if you need to have more information on that. However, at every Congress, there's also a Friends and Fellows dinner where funds are raised. Most of the funds raised from Friends and Fellows are used to fund young BPW activities. The third source we're looking at today is BPW foundations. And we know that there are lots of persons who are willing to give to organizations such as BPW. You need to know which sources they are and tap them. Then we have professional sponsorships. There are a number of opportunities for this type of funding, and companies usually get tax breaks for these. So seek out those firms, those organizations or persons in the work of BPW, interested in the work of BPW International, and get them to sponsor your club in return for advertisement. So you say, okay, we will advertise your products, your services on our website. Can you sponsor us for this activity, that activity? You know, it's all about how you build your brand and then sell it to these organizations. There's some organizations, and a lot of the big corporate organizations, as a benefit to their employees, would sponsor membership to certain organizations. Get that done. So that will increase your membership right away. So you ask them, when I was the CEO of that bank, I sponsored all the female managers and senior officers to become members of BPW. So that automatically increased our membership in one tranche. So these are the things you must seek after to increase your subscriptions and increase your membership. You can also ask for sponsorship of a project. So if there's a project that you want to get done and there's no funding, you can seek sponsorship from these corporate members who are interested. Hence, the need for you to really build a brand that these companies want to be aligned with. Sometimes it's just sponsorship of an event. So for example, you might decide, okay, let us do this fundraiser, do an empowerment seminar, get a subject matter expert on whatever topic you are thinking of, and get that event sponsored. So the full income from the event will come towards funding your BPW activities. Or sometimes you just ask them to sponsor a cause. For example, Congress is coming up in August. You might decide, okay, let us walk for Orlando, like they're doing here in St. Kitts. So what will happen is that the club will take a walk and get sponsored for doing so. And the sponsorship is for a cause. Then the other means of raising funds is what we call fundraising activities. And it's always good to create an annual signature event. And I know there are some clubs, and certainly in my region, that have a signature event annually. It's known, people, it's a good event, and people seek after going to this event. They can't wait for the next year to come to be able to attend again. That's the sort of event that you want. It has to be this mind-blowing event that everybody wants to attend. It could be a soiree, it could be a tea party, it could be anything like that. But this annual signature event is a specific time of year, and everyone knows that it's happening. Can also seek out opportunities to host other smaller events throughout the year. Align with the calendar in your own community and see what you can do around that time that could be an event that will bring funds into your organization. And I'll give you an example. When Harry was getting married, here in St. Kitts, we had what we call a wedding breakfast. So we sold tickets, had a breakfast, and invited people in one room with us to view the wedding. That went down very well. So we had a social event and made funds from it. Things like that is what you need to seek out so that you can have these events throughout the year to generate income. Build your brand and have a following of patrons. There are some patrons who attend everything that the BPW Club has in particular territories because they are known to have events that exceed their expectations. So not only do we have those patrons, but they bring along others with them. So these are the things that we need to do in order to raise funds for our club. Voluntary work offered by BPW leaders and members. Within BPW, there are a number of leaders and members who are subject matter experts in their area. Grasp the opportunity to utilize these talents within your club so you can build capacity and assist with personal development and growth. Additionally, so there will be some sessions that you will benefit from just because you're a member of the club. But there are others when you can use these leaders and members to facilitate sessions and at the same time raise funds for your club. So you can have what you say, we'll have an annual empowerment seminar and it will cost X dollars. Come out and here's what we can do for you. And these sort of events raise lots of money. I'm telling you, because there are clubs within my region who do these things and raise lots of funds. The President's Office and investment in optimal administration is also another means. All members globally should be informed of funds available to them, and you can do this by asking. These funds should be used to further the work of affiliates around the world. There are a number of organizations that have grant funding, etc., that can be accessed. Sometimes in our club, we might not have the level of expertise to write the grant proposals, etc. And here's where you can call on the centralized services offered by the President's Office. Or sometimes there are things that you want to have interpreted. Here again, you can use the President's Office rather than having to spend funds, your hard-earned funds to get these things translated, etc. Another source is grants. And these are available for projects that can help for the economic empowerment of women. Partner with your relative government ministry or NGO that can assist with sourcing grant funding. A lot of times these grant funding comes through governments and you just don't know which NGO would be able to best utilize these funds, and so they never get utilized. You need to partner with that ministry, especially if there's a Ministry of Gender Affairs or Ministry of Women's Affairs or Ministry of Development Affairs. Align yourself with them so that you can be the recipient of these grant fundings. You can partner with them to have these grant fundings to help to carry on the projects and work of your club or your affiliate club. It's one thing to raise funds, But if you raise the funds and you do not utilize them to the benefit of the club, then you've wasted your efforts. So how can each affiliate ensure that funds raised are used for the benefit of the club and ensure sustainability of the club? You must start by using financial management principles. So you need to plan, you need to organize, you need to direct, and you need to control all financial activities. So at the beginning of the year, when you're doing your operational plan, which would have fallen out of your strategic plan, which you would have done for 2 or 3 years, you decide what activities you would do throughout. Then when you get to the beginning of your financial year, you look at what you will do this year, you put budgets for each, and you plan properly. When these funds are raised, you have to ensure that you also properly utilize the funds. These funds are not raised for your social advancement, but to carry out the vision and the mission of BPW International, hence my starting with that slide. And you must apply general management principles to financial resources, because who should benefit are the people, not us, the club. So principle number 1, planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. It starts, as I said, with the strategic plan, and that plan should align with that of the BPW International, and that is found in the vision of BPW. This is further broken down into an annual operating plan. The budget is then prepared. It's approved by the general membership of the club. And I'm saying this because I know there's a belief that the executive, once the executive approves any budget, then you can spend. No. The executive can approve the spending. It then needs to be thrown out to the general membership of the club in your monthly meeting. And then we must adhere to and to all the principles of the actual planning, and then financial reports must be made at the club's monthly meetings. You must understand every cent that came into the club, how the funds were utilized, and what is left. And that must be substantiated by balances in a bank account or cash, as the case may be. But all funds must be accounted for. So that's the first principle. Principle number 2, how are the funds used? The funds must be raised for a purpose. So if you are having an event, you need to say, what is the purpose for which you are having this event? Misappropriation of funds is a crime and will be handled as such. So funds raised for and on behalf of the club must be used for and on behalf of the club. The treasurer or your finance officer must account for all funds and advise all members. It's not just the executive. All members within your club must know what's happening with the funding of the club. And at the end of your financial year, you must have full audited accounts provided at the AGM. The third principle is ensuring for financial success is usually the result of many years of proper financial control. So although the executives come and go, you should continue to have that prudent financial management, and that is what will determine financial success. This control discipline involves operating within or below your means. So we don't go out and say, okay, for this function, we will raise $3,000. So let us start spending the $3,000 before we have it, because we are almost sure that we will make the $3,000. No, you must make the $3,000 before you decide how you can spend it. And if every dollar earned is spent, then the affiliate will not get ahead. For every time you raise funds and put some aside for a special project, and work on always keeping the expenses lower than the income so you can have a saving or investment component. Do not spend in anticipation of receiving, only spend what is available. Key is to remember money grows on skills, not trees. So you must have the requisite skill to be able to raise these funds, or else you will never have funds available to you. Mark Droop, the strategist, reminded us of this. So as we recap, and then I'll stop to take your questions, remember to successfully manage an affiliate, it is imperative to have a budget that works. And in order to get a budget that works, you must, 1, build your brand. 2, you must tap into the sources that work for you. And 3, you must apply the financial management principles. Thank you very much. And I'll now pause and take your questions.
Hi, Dawn. I don't yet have a question for you, but may I ask you to now take us out of screen share?
No, I won't.
Oh, you want to keep this on the screen?
If I take it out?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I will. Okay.
Yes, since you've finished with your presentation. Thank you for a lovely presentation. That way we can see all of us for any who might want to turn on their video, especially as they speak.
Yes, I have it back on.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for a lovely presentation. And we open it up to anyone who wants to ask questions of Dawn.
Hi, Chantal Fraser from Ontario, Canada.
Hi, Chantal.
It's nice to meet you. I have a question about the, what's it called? The international president and accessing sources from the international president. I just have to find the right place in here. Where there's international funds or grant funding, and we might need help with grant writing from BPW International. Where do we go for that?
You go via your national president, who is currently Linda Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
any request you have for international funding, go through her. And if she needs assistance from me as regional coordinator, she will seek such.
Okay. It's the first time I've heard of it, so.
Okay, that's fine. That's why we're here, and that's why we do such seminars.
Thank you. I'm writing notes.
Sure, feel free.
Hi, Dawn. I'm going to jump in since no one else has yet and just ask, can you elaborate at all or give examples maybe from your region of fundraising, types of fundraising efforts or projects people have done?
Yes. So I will start with Dominica. Dominica is a real good example of how fundraisers can help your club. And I guess because they're coming from a place where they had hurricanes and had no money. So every year they put on a women's empowerment seminar, and they invite people from around the region to attend. And that is a big fundraiser for them. Additionally, they put on training series where they bring in subject matter experts. And one of the things that they do very well is they look for when they're having expats on, well, I wouldn't say expats, persons from Dominica who have achieved but live outside of Dominica visiting, so that they can use them to raise funds. So they will then prepare for a conference, a seminar, etc., have the subject matter expert as their featured speaker and do an event an income generating event. In St. Martin, they're very good at this as well. St. Martin and Cayman, they're always doing fundraisers. Like for example, Cayman had a young lady who was the youngest accountant working with Price Waterhouse, and they brought her in to tell her story and did an event around it. Here in St. Kitts Nevis, they're always having events. So this annual signature event is the soiree, and each year it has a different theme. This year it was the international theme. So what will happen is that they had dishes from each of the 5 regions. There's also a second annual event, which is the annual tea party, which is held every year around Easter time with a theme. So it might be linen and lace. One year it was the green theme because it fell on Earth Day. And so whatever is happening around that time, they will have this theme with that in mind and have a tea party, which, as a matter of fact, in this region, people are asking, when is your next event? There's some persons who say, whenever you, so I have a list of I will say supporters that I go to every time there's an event. That list is about 40 persons, because they just said, just let me know when is your next event, because your events are always great and we just want to be a part of it. So tea parties, soirees, empowerment seminars, that's another one that is done in this region. Empowerment seminars where you bring in the last one here in St. Kitts, which was last year, and they're preparing for the one this year. The subject matter experts spoke on emotional intelligence. We had standing room only. We had about 300 and something people in the room, both men and women. And that's the sort of thing I'm talking about, Anne. We've lost you. You may be on mute. Oh,
yes, I was. I'm not now.
okay.
Thank you. I want to add to that sometimes there are specific events for specific regions that are very culturally appropriate to that region. So
Yes.
Hong Kong every year, where I'm the founding president and one of the members, of course, now, it has as their biggest fundraiser, among others, they have and also membership drive, they have a Chinese New Year event. So that would only be in certain countries. But
no, Anne, I would tell you, here in St. Kitts Nevis, we had a Chinese New Year event.
well, yes, anyone can hold it. But
Yes.
anyway, being primarily Chinese, our club does have a big event, and they open it as I think is one of your key points. They open it to the public.
The public,
and
yes.
so and so the members pay a bit less, and that's the benefit to members.
Yes.
They can join these events and these seminars and these trainings, and it's not just out and out a benefit of membership. It is an extra, but they don't have to pay too much, but then it's open to the public. And the same with the Chinese New Year. This year we couldn't have it because of the virus. And so it was a big hardship for us, because that's usually a big membership drive too, being at the beginning of the year. But anyway, we have a lot of these events as well. Does anyone else want to?
I agree with you, Anne. And although it's cultural in that area of the world, we adopted it here this year. And we thought because of the coronavirus, we would not, but we catered for 70 persons, and 70 persons came.
Oh, good. Good. So anybody else jump in, please do so. I'm going to give it back over to Dawn and put myself back on mute.
Okay, thanks, Anne.
I liked what you said about partnerships. We have partnerships, but in our small area of Trenton, Ontario, but we haven't thought about running events where we're actually doing it as a fundraiser before. So it's sparking ideas in my head that I'll bring to my club. So I want to thank you for that.
Yes. And Chantel, please feel free to call on me if you need any assistance.
Thank you.
Yeah, my details are on the website, but just in case, it's Dawne.williams@bpwinternational.com or williams.dawn@gmail.com. But you can get it from Linda, you can get it from Jill, So, but feel free, because we're here to help. And we have,
Dawne,
sorry, I was saying we have quite a bit of experience because we actually do a lot of events. In St. Kitts Nevis, there's an event almost every month, but definitely every quarter.
I want to just read a comment that's in the chat. I don't know if anybody, it's sometimes hard to balance several things at once here, and I just saw it myself. But Penny Vari, who is joining us, can't currently speak to us because she's at work listening in.
Yes.
And so her question is, she says, I understand my question is big, but how do you build a brand? And I would add to that, that until you've built a noticeable brand, you can't really go around asking for sponsorship, specifically that. So anyway, she's asking about how do you build a brand. So
Okay. Yeah, you build your brand by the activities you do. So the first thing is you have to ensure that your club is visible, that the activities that you do are empowering and endearing. So people start to have respect. They be like, okay, these bunch of ladies are onto something good. These bunch of ladies are a set of ladies I want to align myself with. So you must be there, because there's the social media, there's so many ways in which you can now present yourself to the general public that you need to use that and talk about the things that you do, the activities that you are doing to empower women and girls and your community at large, because most of our events also include men, because remember, it's equal. It's all for equal. So we include our men, and I would tell you, some of the men are our biggest fans. So you build your reputation by inclusion, by ensuring that your activities inspire the persons you reach, that when you reach out to your community, you are doing things that lift the community. And those are the things, it's little things that you do over time that will build your relation, will build your brand. It's no one activity, actually. And the events that you do, that those empowerment seminars, etc., help to build your brand as well.
I will also add that we're building on the brand of BPW as a
Yeah.
whole, as international. And so making them aware of BPW's history and our work through the UN and so on, and then building your local club's reputation or your federal level, your federation's reputation. One of the things also that we're looking at in terms of sponsorship, or we have looked at in sponsorship in Hong Kong, is that a lot of organizations want to align with women's organizations because it makes them look more gender friendly. And whether or not their motivations are always true, maybe we in turn can influence them then if we do align with them and help them to get on a right path. But at the least, if you offer them the ability to put their logo on a page of sponsors on your website, for example, so you can have a sponsorship page and have their logo and something like that that shows that they sponsor a local women's organization, that may then in turn give them some credit as far as their company is concerned as well. So that's one way to pitch the quest for sponsorship to them. And we certainly do that with our events. Their name is up front if they've sponsored the gala dinner for an event or something like that. Yeah. We have another question on the chat from Nilima this time, who says there's a wedding next door, too much music, so she can't have her sound on.
That's right.
She's in Nepal at the moment. And she says she'd like to ask, how can young members find ways to get sponsorship for their trip to Orlando to attend the 90th BPW International Congress this August?
Okay. Well, one of the things, Nalima, is the fundraising. I know that Cayman Islands is working with our region to see how we can raise funds to sponsor a number of young BPW members. The unfortunate thing for us at this time is that because of the coronavirus, traveling is not like it was before. And so we don't know how many events we'll be able to pull off But the truth is, the only way we can do that is by raising funds. And there are a number of ways that we can do this. For example, as I spoke to earlier, here in St. Kitts, we're having what you call the Walk to Orlando, where we are going to go do a walk and get sponsors for walking. We also do the New to You sale. So this is where members of the clubs and friends will donate some used but good items, household items, clothing, etc. And we, on a Saturday morning, go to a space and we have a list of persons who are interested in what we call the New to You. So it's new to them, but it might be a little, too tight for us, a little too big for us, or we just had enough of it. And normally those sort of events can raise up to like $3,000 per pop. So this is another way in which you can raise funds. The youth has, they bring a freshness. So if there's anything that you can think of that is fresh, that they can entice other youth and not so young, and decide to do some sort of forum, then that's another way. But it's going to be through fundraisers. There is no other way. You might be able to get 1 or 2 sponsors, but not enough to really make a difference to the number of youth that would want to attend. But we are doing a lot of programs in this region to help send some youth to the Congress.
Dawne, you just mentioned the coronavirus, and I've been in, now I just left Hong Kong, but I was in Hong Kong for the last 6 weeks, where because of that, because Hong Kong initially was one of the real hotspots, now there are many others more so. But because of that, BPW has not been able to do any of their early events this year, as I mentioned about the Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
And we also are converting our meetings to online format, as well as some other actual events. And I would suggest that not only because of this virus situation and the lack of ability to travel, and we know that some of our events and the New York events have been canceled recently, but not only because of that, but just because it's the 21st century, maybe we can actually consider online events more as well. So I would recommend to people that you get a professional Zoom account for your club. It's the most flexible for this type of platform, for this type of thing. You can get a free account, but it's limited to 40 minutes. And if you have a professional account, it's an unlimited amount of time. So invest in a professional account, which is not a lot of money, and utilize this for such events with keynote speakers, or set it up as a plenary, or set it up as a conference, or however you want to do, symposium anyway, and charge a fee. Set it up with a platform so that you can charge a fee for it. It would be less than going to something in person. So everybody, it's a win-win for everyone. Much more convenient. They can be home in their pajamas if they wish. So, but you can still generate funds in this way with no venue costs or any other cost to your affiliate. And by the way, you can speakers from anywhere in the world, and you don't have to pay their flight either.
Yeah. The only thing, yeah, that's a great idea, Anne. And just plan in advance so that you give people time, and try to do it not during work time, so that people can actually log on and be able to interact. But great idea, Anne. Thanks.
Well, if you're doing it for your local club, then it would be a time that's to the benefit of people in your region. So you don't have to consider various time zones, just that of your speakers if they're coming in from anywhere else. But they will have arranged that with you in advance.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking at a regional level like this, but at a club level, it's
a little trickier with multiple time zones for sure.
Does that help, Chantel? Okay, thumbs up.
We have another comment in chats, this time from Christina, our UN representative to FAO, who is in Italy.
Hi,
she
Christina.
says, I'm listening from an area of coronavirus.
Oh.
Well, that's all of Italy now. We are forcefully at home. They're quarantined. Your suggestions are very important. Technological investments will pay off soon. please, we have to invest.
Yeah.
Totally agree, Christina.
Yes, and thanks for that, Christina. And all the best. I hope, that we'll find some relief from this virus. It's affecting all of us, even where it is not yet manifested itself. We still are very careful. Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to jump back in. It's Chantal,
Sure.
for anybody who might not have video on. We've been building those partnerships by holding those events. So we have an event that we hold during what we call Quinte Business Week, which in the rest of Canada is Small Business Week. So every year, women and a few men look forward to our afternoon event and ask us when it's coming. So we've built that part of the brand. It's just that we haven't gone that extra step of doing a fundraising event. That's because almost all the events during Quinte Business Week are free, no matter who's partnered. So it's taking that next step. We've got the brand, we've got the reputation of putting on good events. Now we have to open it up to be more inclusive, to include all genders, and we have to attach a price to it so that we can actually do some fundraising and do more great events and more great things.
Leverage what you started. And you will be amazed at the income that you'll generate as a result.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks, Chantal.
So we have at least 3 of the people in the room who cannot share with us except by chat, but they're sharing actively through chat. Bessie, you've recently joined us, so you didn't hear Dawne's presentation, but would you like to add anything or ask a question about this topic overall? You are on mute. You'll have to unmute yourself. Well, possibly not. It's extremely early in Bessie's world. I
I
think
know.
4 a.m., maybe 5 a.m., but
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
4
surprised.
a.m.
I'm surprised she's even up.
Mhm. Okay, any other comments or questions, anyone? Or anything
No,
in
I'm
your
here.
viewpoint that you... Hi, Bessie.
Hi,
Looking at
Bessie.
her deck.
Bessie, any questions or comments about this topic of budget and fundraising and sponsorships?
I would like to suggest that what we have to do is get somebody that is good in grant writing at the federation level, especially so that they can help all the clubs in the federation. There's always somebody that knows about grant writing, and if not, knows somebody. That would be great if we could write grants.
Yeah, that would be great, Bessie, but we don't have the resource now, but we should seek. But one of the things, one of the things that, I'm going to come back. So hold on.
Where does it say that?
Okay, sorry. One of the things that we can do in the interim until we build that resource, if we don't have it, is partner with NGOs, with the government or governmental organizations, because inevitably they always have grant writers who can assist. We have leveraged it here in St. Kitts Nevis, and I'm sure there are other places where that can be done. But I agree, it's always good to have that resource on your team. Hello, Bessie?
She's on mute again.
No, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but what I'm saying is if we don't have the resource, we have to look and see where can we get somebody that has, for example, let's say the Office of Education, for example, has a department of grant writing. They give workshops on how to do it.
Right.
Or you can get them to help you, to guide you. I mean, in any organization, any nonprofit, small business administration in your area, maybe, they can also guide you. They give workshops on that. Just try to look for resources.
Okay.
I might add that's a very good training to have, maybe even more than once in your club or your federation. To bring in an outside expert, even if you pay them, and have a training for all of your members on grants writing. Something to consider. That's a skill that once you have it, you're worth your weight in gold in the professional industry or in the NGOs. So it would be a good business skill for anyone to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the US, we have the SBA, and they do go to your meetings and they give you the training that you want, and that is free. They don't
That's
charge that.
Small Business Administration for anyone
Yes,
outside of the US.
Yes.
yes.
And most of them will do such training for free once asked.
So don't just look for one, I say, train all your members, including
Yes,
your
bring them in.
Why
Bring
not?
them into the club. Have a
Mm.
session. Make that a meeting. Today's meeting, we'll look at grant writing. And this will be hosted by the Ministry of SBA or whatever whatever is relevant in your part of the world, your neck of the woods.
Mm.
Mhm.
Going back to sponsorship for a moment, I mentioned businesses that want credit for being gender friendly, so to speak, or for
equal.
more inclusive, yes.
Mhm.
And I do say that, you can tell by my face, a little tongue in cheek, because it's not the pure motivation we would like, that they're truly supporting us. But we'll take the support and then maybe train them to think more broadly about this. But that's a good leverage to use, that it makes them, when you're going to ask corporations or sending out a letter to ask corporations to sponsor you, first of all, they need to know what they get in return. And so their logo on some page on your website or something similar, or in a program for the event, is customary. And sometimes have schemes such as they can sponsor you and then they can send a certain number of people to that event, for example, for free. So they're getting a return on their money or something like this. But they need to know what they would get in return. And sometimes that's just visibility in the community for aligning with a women's organization. And most organizations today, for CSR reasons, really need to align more visibly with women's organizations or with gender-related seminars and events. So encourage them to do so, I would say.
And
You always give, yeah. Oh, sorry, Bessie.
no,
Actually, Bessie,
I have asked,
I'm not modifying. Dawne is moderating her session.
oh, pardon me, Dawn,
Yeah.
I have asked Janelle for some information. Just one moment, okay? This is Janelle Hieronymus Luna. Okay.
Hi, I'm just overhearing this conversation while I telework from home today. But embassies overseas, women's empowerment, women in business is one of the themes that we've been asked to push at our embassies and consulates overseas. So if an organization were to go to the US embassy or consulate near them and say we're interested in programs to promote women's entrepreneurship, it's very likely that the public affairs section would have grant money available to either bring speakers, bring experts. Our speakers program is quite robust, and we can do it both in person and through virtual programs. So there's quite a lot of resources through embassies for this specific topic.
U.S. embassies.
Ivanka's been spouting her programs as well. So this is at least something that the embassy can support in the current administration and beyond. It's often been something that we've been able to do for this type of theme, but especially now there's not a whole lot of themes that are sanctioned that are this type of program, but this one is because Ivanka has gotten involved personally. So use that in order to get the resources from the embassy that might be available.
Okay, well,
And
thanks.
I will hinge on that. And when I was in Brazil, I've been there several times, maybe a couple of years ago, the Rio de Janeiro club, made an event and asked me to be one of the speakers because I was visiting. And part of the event purpose was because there was a new Canadian ambassador in town, and she was for the first time in Rio. And she really wanted to align herself with women's organizations and to get involved with gender equality topics and women's empowerment topics as well. And so they had an event for the Canadian ambassador to Brazil to gain some momentum on this. And then I was also visiting. And a lot of times when I'm traveling around the world, and this could be true for any of our members, I just let a club know that I'm there. And I'm nobody. I mean, I'm not necessarily a high-level speaker, or I'm not even president of my club now, but I'm a visitor from another country representing another club. And they use that in order to create an event. So they'll say, we have Anne, president, now past president of BPW Hong Kong, who's visiting us, wherever it is. And they invite people, and they often also charge a fee, and they ask me to be a speaker, and they bring in other speakers. And so my visit or somebody's visit just creates some leverage for yet another type of event. And
Yep.
certainly look at the ambassadors, to echo whoever that was with Bessie.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and if we need more information, we can always leverage Bessie to get it. Yeah.
Okay.
And U.S. embassies won't charge fees for their events because they have a grants program, and we're not allowed to charge fees. So
Okay.
if a U.S. embassy is involved in the project, they can do so through their grants mechanisms, and it won't cost anybody anything.
Okay.
okay, so then that's not for our fundraising. So you might use them for contribution in kind. Other.
Yeah. Or
No,
some
no
other
fun.
type.
They don't do fundraising, but they can provide you all kinds of training and education so that you can get the tools to get the fundraising.
Anyway, it's 5 minutes more. I actually have a 9 o'clock as well. So,
So in fact, this is the time for me to wrap things up. Dawn, do you have any final comments to bring us to a close, and then I will do a wrap up.
yes, thanks. I would say that thanks for all who joined. I hope that I was able to assist you in some way in raising funds for your club and ensuring that the funds raised are used as intended. And I look forward to hearing of your success using the newfound skills, as Chantel said. So thanks for the opportunity, Anne. Had some technical difficulties this morning. I actually was on a treadmill getting to my son's house from where I am doing this because my internet has failed me once more at home. So I am glad that I was able to make it. I was in a panic, Anne, when I spoke to you first because it was working and then it just cut, you see? But I'm glad that I were able to do this, and I look forward to hearing of the success. And Nilima, I'll continue to see in which ways we can help our young BPW in our region to make it to Congress.
Okay. Thanks to Dawn for a lovely and very informative webinar on a topic that is critically important to all of us. And thanks to all who attended and all of you for actively engaging in the dialogue. And we hope to see all of you in a webinar coming to you again soon, next month, and
in
other
Orlando.
videos to be posted in the meantime.
Yeah, and in Orlando, Anne?
Yes, but anyway, this is about our webinars. So anyway, so thanks to all of you, and we'll see you again hopefully next month. Bye for now.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.